Hey there, welcome to Finding Fabulous, where this next chapter is about discovering what truly lights you up. I'm Meghan.
I'm Kristin. Through the stories we share and the incredible women we meet, we talk about life pivots, next chapters, and that moment when you feel your spark again.
Let's find our mojo and light it up. So, Tina, we are so excited to have you here with us today on Finding Fabulous. Tina is a certified neuroscience coach who helps people rewire their brains so they can finally stop repeating the same patterns and start creating real change, which is definitely something we all want and need.
Right.
She teaches that manifestation is an inside job and that when you invest in yourself through small daily practices, you put yourself back in the driver's seat of your life. Wow. That's good. After hitting rock bottom following her divorce, burnout, and a full-blown midlife unraveling, Tina learned that manifestation wasn't about thinking positive. It was about training the nervous system to feel safe with a new identity. By combining neuroscience, nervous system regulation, and tiny daily micro shifts, she flipped her life right side up and now teaches others to do the same.
Oh my gosh, Tina, teach us, please.
Teach us. Exactly. We're ready to learn. Okay. So Tina, why don't you, so interestingly enough, a very good friend of mine, Emily Powers, found you on Instagram and she sent me a few of your posts. And she said that she was intrigued, interested, that you were interesting and fascinating. So I'm super grateful that she sent you our way. And I guess we'd just like you to tell us a little bit about your journey, sort of how this all came to be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really probably started 16 years ago when my mom died of cancer. I had a newborn and a toddler, and I just kind of went into survival mode. I just was keeping, my husband got really busy with work. He was gone all the time. I was still working part time. The newborn wouldn't take a bottle, so I couldn't go anywhere for more than 2 hours at a time. And I just was I was in full blown survival mode. And then since then, we just had a series of one thing after another, after another, just a lot of stuff going on. And finally, 3 years ago, I just kind of hit a wall where I didn't realize that I'd been living completely in survival mode for so long. And I just hit a wall. I knew I needed to get a divorce. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know how to stand on my own 2 feet. I was working a job I didn't love. I was just not where I thought I would be at 3 years ago. I'm 46 years old. And I was just kind of this is not it. How do we start living the life that I really want? And I just kind of hit a brick wall where I just totally fell apart, super depressed, crying all the time, couldn't get my shit together. I had 2 therapists at one point. I was doing EMDR, I was doing hypnotherapy. I had all my hormones checked. I was maybe it's perimenopause,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just and then I kept
Just looking for your guidance or solution somewhere.
Yeah, I was just something is not right here. And the therapists weren't, it was helpful to talk about it, but I was just I can keep coming every week and hearing myself talk about the same problems that don't seem to be getting solved. And so it's nothing was really moving the needle. And so I'd sort of always had this spiritual side to me because growing up, my dad always meditated and he always kind of was just he would talk about the universe or stuff like that. We weren't religious, but definitely spiritual. But it wasn't anything I really talked about with most people because it's everyone's oh, you're weird or that's crazy or something. And when I started learning about the neuroscience behind all of this, I remember hearing a quote a bunch of years ago, when you change your energy, you change your life. And so I kept thinking if I'm the common denominator in all of these problems that I'm having, then maybe I need to be the one to change. And I need to stop looking for something
Wow.
outside of me to change. And I think my whole life, I was just something will come and fix it. We'll get out of our debt this way. Something will happen. I just kept waiting for something external to come along. Nothing was happening. And I couldn't stay there anymore. You get to a point where it's so bad that you're just okay, something really has to change.
Did you have one breaking point or was it just a culmination of lots of different things?
It was a culmination. There was a lot of things going on at one time, the divorce just being one of 5 major things. And it just got to the point where I just kind of broke. And, I mean, in hindsight, at the time, I was like, this is a midlife crisis. And in hindsight, I'm like, oh, it was an awakening. Like all of that needed to happen.
Just
that's a
change,
nice way of
flip the
saying it.
conversation.
I love
right?
that.
Yeah, but like when you're deep in it, you're like, fuck that. Like this is awful.
That's right.
And
Oh
I
God, yeah,
can't even believe this
totally.
is
And you feel
happening.
alone, even though
It's so isolating. You feel
it's so
crazy.
isolating.
You feel a little bit crazy because you're just going through all of this and you're waking up at the same time and you're just like, you feel a little nuts for a while,
No, I'm sure. Yeah. No, I mean, we experienced a version of that ourselves. It does.
Yeah.
It's super unsettling and scary and all the things.
Even if it's just like, it's like my kids are getting older and like going off to college. Even that my therapist kept saying like, even just that one thing could take you down, Tina. You have 5 things going on. So it was just like a lot.
Right. Yes.
I mean, in hindsight, great. I'm glad it happened, but holy cow, was it a lot to go through?
No, I just like the enlightenment versus the Christ, or what term did you use? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
awakening.
Awakening.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
I did too.
I didn't like that you had a midlife crisis. I just like the awakening versus crisis upon reflection, that you can look at it, that's really what it was.
Totally. And just realizing how everything in your life is all about perspective, right? So it's like you can look the same, if somebody that has done this work and somebody that hasn't done this work can be living the same life, but they see it in totally different ways. So it's
Bingo.
really powerful, So it's like, I think so many people wait for their external circumstances to change and they don't realize that they need to change their own energy in order for their life to change. And so that's kind of what hit me. And that's what launched me into really like getting uber fascinated with the neuroscience behind it all.
Because even the word energy, it's not a abstract concept.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Right.
It's got physical properties.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And everything, literally every single thing is energy. And so it's like when and I explain it to people, I'm just like, nope, you don't question the Wi-Fi in your house. And that's a form of energy. So like, why are you questioning your electromagnetic field that you are emitting, that people are responding to and life is responding to?
And life is responding to. It's sort of like that concept of manifestation, right? And the way you went from the opposite way of starting with the science and sort of building us up. But I feel like when we were raising our kids still, and there were movements in spirituality and in mindfulness, and one of the words was manifestation that was being tossed around. And it was just hard to kind of wrap our heads around, or at least for me, it was hard for me to understand exactly, not even what it means, but okay, well then how do you do it though?
Right. And is it even possible? Like, is it you wishing something or wanting something, or
like what does the word even mean?
It happens. Yeah, I agree with you. What would your sort of definition be of manifestation?
So manifest, it's sort of making something real. It's sort of making something happen. And so the reality is like we're all manifest. Everything in your life you have manifested. So like we're all manifesting. But when people talk about manifesting, they're talking about manifesting what they want, right? But people don't understand that everything in your life you have created. Your energy, your patterns, everything has created. So it's like you're always manifesting. It just, what I'm trying to teach people is how do you manifest what you actually want?
Good point. And it starts, I guess, like you said, by looking at the common denominator.
Yeah, exactly.
What you can control that you're emanating.
And this cool thing happened one day. I was walking my dog in my neighborhood, which I've been here for 12 years. And I saw this woman that I've never seen before. And it was definitely one of those things where I was like, did my mom send you down? Because this is weird. And I was talking to this woman and we just got talking and I told her I was getting a divorce. And she said, how long ago? And I said, I'm going through it. And she just kind of looked at me and she's like 75 years old. And she's like, I got a divorce and then I met the love of my life. And I was like, and it was just this moment of like, oh, there's hope, it's going to be okay. There's hope. And then it was wild because she looked at me and she goes, your only job right now is to become magnetic. But at the time I was just kind of like, you're just this lady on the street talking to me.
She's also of a previous generation, like a little bit older.
That's why I was just like, did my mom send you here to give me this message? Like, it was so weird. And she was like, your only job is to become magnetic. Like, don't run into another relationship. Like, focus on yourself. Like, do everything on yourself. Like, basically become the person that you want to date. Become the best version of yourself. And it just like launched me onto this path where I was just kind of like, okay. Because I think sometimes when you're getting a divorce, there is this like, do I just go out and find the next person right now? Like, do I just kind of like fill that void instead of actually healing and dealing with that? And it gave me permission to like really heal and really kind of invest in myself and take the time that I needed. And so it just launched me on this path where I just went like on this deep dive and really understanding like how our brains really change and understanding like nervous system regulation, like all of that and like how important that is and all of it. So it was pretty cool.
So what did that look like to you in terms of how did you get started technically on that path?
Yeah. And that's the thing with all of this work. And it's not like you do one thing and overnight you're different. It's just little choices that you start making every day that then compound over time. So I started going for a walk first thing in the morning. Like I'd get the kids out the door to school and I'd go for a walk. If it was freezing, I'd still go for a walk. Like no matter what, I was outside. It was just like little investments in yourself. And while I was walking, I would always listen to a podcast, whatever it was that day that I was interested. But the morning walk is always like a learning podcast, like something where I'm just kind of like infusing information into my brain. And so that would, that was every day. And I've always kind of done yoga, but I really started doing it every day. So it's like moving my body and really starting to meditate and really get still. Because I think so many times we're living in this world where it's just like so chaotic. And if you don't get still, you can't hear your intuition. And so I had no idea what to do. Like I was working a career that I knew was not it, I didn't know what direction to go in. And so it's like I was just frozen for so long, like so stuck. And once I kind of really broke and you kind of don't have a choice but to just kind of like sit and meditate for a while and you start getting little clues and you start being like, okay, well, this is what's really interesting. I'm going to follow this path. And then you follow that path and then it takes you to the next step somehow. So it's like you're not going to get to Z right away, but like if you at least go to B, then you can start to see where C is. And then you can kind of start to like piece together the path there. But I think what people like get frustrated with manifesting is they're like, well, I've been doing all the work and it's not happening. It's just like, it's not going to happen overnight.
You need patience. Yeah. And
you need patience and you need consistency.
And you do need to have like your eye on some sort of prize, whether it's like you said, from A to D or C, or even if you look even loftier, but just knowing that it's really those little choices. Because that's all you really have anyway, is the moment.
Your life is the sum of all of the choices that you've made. You really put yourself back in the driver's seat when you understand that.
Well, and I think it's a less daunting driver's seat if you don't have to solve it all right away. I mean, you break it down into small pieces, that does seem more doable.
Totally. And that's why when I teach this stuff, I focus on micro shifts. It's like, you're not going to change your life overnight. And like anybody that's going to like sell you some course saying that you're going to like manifest your dream life in the next 10 days or 30 days is lying. You have to do the internal work first. And then that's when, I talk about manifestation becoming effortless. And it does become effortless once you've kind of done the work.
But do you think that for a lot of women, like I can speak for myself, when my youngest daughter went to college, so I have 5 kids, had them in 7.5 years. So it was a crazy busy household. I was a stay-at-home mom and my youngest went to college. I sort of was in denial that whole, my aging parents, freaking menopause. I mean, it was like this trifecta of, I felt so stuck. And to your point, talking to your therapist, I think that empty nest alone could have put me over the edge, but then I had all kinds of issues with my parents and just hormone imbalances. And in that moment, I really did feel like this is never, ever going to change.
Yeah.
I think you go down that rabbit hole of spiraling, and then it's very difficult to get calm and take it step by step because it was sort of like, I just went off a cliff and I needed to figure out how to come back. Because my thing is, I just felt like I wanted it yesterday. And I think that's very much our culture.
Yeah.
And to your point, it just doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. So it's like, I do call it like going to the mental gym. It's like, you have to put in your reps every day if you want change. Like you don't get to just meditate for like 1 hour a week and expect like that muscle to be strong. So it's like, go to the mental gym every day. And so how I teach it is like a short 7 to 9 minute practice. So it's like everyone has that time a day. So it's the way your brain rewires is by short bits, but like consistently. So it's all about repetition versus a couple hours, like once every so often. That's not going to do anything. But if you come back to it every single day, even if it's a short amount of time, that's how your brain rewires.
So it's like structure your day, just like you said, with exercise, whether it's a walk, yoga, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You have that period of time. You have another period of time where you're just doing that little short period of exercising your brain.
Yeah.
Because it literally is exercising your brain, right?
It is. It literally is. Yeah. I mean, you're like building new neural pathways in the same way you would build new muscles,
And by the way, we don't need to get into this here, but even if you look ahead at your future, your next chapters and aging and dementia, I mean, I'm sure there's benefits to longevity.
Totally. And it's like, make a deposit into your mental bank account, and that over time compounds. So it's like, start investing in yourself now, and that will compound over time. You get interest on that. So,
wow. It's interesting because you were talking about with the kids going off to college. So I have my youngest in college now also, and I have 4 kids, and it was similar to what we're all going, or so many people are going through, right? I would look at it like, oh my gosh, my mom official role is going away, like a loss.
yeah.
Like what now? Even though I had other things, and by the way, not all perfect, so a lot of other hurdles to make it through also, it was like, well, wait a second. But I just lost that. That was a big part of my life, a major important part of my life that I've lost. Instead of this new way of trying to think about it like, but look at the gains. This is what you worked so hard for, to give these little people the ability to be healthy, well-adjusted, happy, loving adults.
Yeah.
And so now, why don't you revel in that instead of...
But it's also kind of like realizing it's not about toxic positivity where you're like, you have to, like, there is a grief to letting your kids go to
think
college.
there's a real grief.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
there is such a loss for me. And I think that
So it's okay to go through that part, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. My whole point, like, let yourself grieve. It's not that you're not going to have feelings that come up that are negative. The idea is that regulation is when your nervous system, it's not going to take you down, right? You're going to feel feelings, and they're going to be not always what you want to feel. But the idea is that you can get back to center a lot quicker when you're regulated.
Okay.
And so it's like, of course it's sad and heartbreak when your kids go to college, that is a chapter of your life that's now over.
I feel like it was just the end of an era that I could not get my head around.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is a little bit of a grief.
Yeah.
But to your point, I went off the ledge. And so what it's trying to do is have you mourn it and be sad, but then also
be able to almost self-correct and get a little bit...
Yeah, like feel the feelings, but just don't let them kind of move in and live there forever. And that was what was happening to me. Like, I couldn't, because I was like so stuck in these neural loops. Like, I was just like, and I'd wake up every morning thinking this. And it was just like, and the more you think it, the more it happens. And the deeper the neural grooves get. And you was just like, God, how do I escape this?
Is that sort of rumination? Is it the same thing, the same concept?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at that too, unfortunately.
I'm so good at it.
But I'm really working on it.
Get your groove on, Meeks. Let's get out of that groove.
Yeah. I actually just recorded a reel yesterday where I was like, I get it like an A+ in ruminating. Like, I was so good at that stuff. That was really great.
I can relate, sister. But I have, through therapy, figured out a way to stop that.
Yeah.
Or at least curtail it, because you're telling yourself a story that may or may not even be true. And it's just taking you down, to your point. Whereas if you can feel the feeling and then stop, move on, enjoy the rest of your day, it doesn't give it the power to take you down, so to speak.
Yeah. I think one of the best things my therapist did was I was beating myself up for going through all this. And I was like, why am I not getting through it? Like, why am I not getting better? And he's just like, let yourself grieve. And so I spent a summer, and I just kind of told my kids, I was just like, I am grieving a lot right now. Like, there's a lot of loss in my life right now. And so they kind of understood, like, why mom's kind of in tears, and I stopped beating myself up for it. And I really let myself go through it finally. And I think since my mom died, I didn't have time to grieve. So I think I'd been punting all these feelings and like, I'll deal with it later. I'll just, I don't want to feel it.
I'm a good punter.
Yeah. I think we all are to an extent. So I think letting yourself feel the feelings and really grieve the loss, and then being able to have a new story about it, and not living in that story.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're feeling the pain, you certainly don't want to stay there, as the quote goes, right? You want to, if you're in hell, you want to move through it. So that's not the time to get stuck, but you still need to feel it.
I know.
In order to get past it.
I know. When I was like deep in it, I was like, go to my therapist, and I was just like, I can't take. And he's just like, you just have to marinate in it for a while. And I was like, I was like, how do I get through this faster? He's like, by feeling it even more. And I was like, God damn it.
No, it's so true. Damn it. That's not comfortable.
That's when you wanted to punt the ball.
Yeah,
that's when you wanted to race out of the room, right?
No, exactly.
But it's like, it's like, that's why people that like drink their way through grief, you're never going to get to the other side unless you go through it. So if you keep going around it, it'll come back and get you at some other point.
Yeah.
So, on the topic of sort of having these midlife crisis, quote unquote, how much of that is actually your nervous system being on overload because of either a stage in your life or a situation in your life? Is that sort of we've labeled it as midlife crisis, so people
I
fall to
think,
that, but
I
really,
mean, I think it's a lot of things. I think it is your nervous system kind of having enough at some point. I think for women, it's our hormonal changes. We're less inclined to nurture and put up with the shit that we used to put up with, or you just can see things clearly. And also it is this like reckoning of like, wow, like life could potentially be halfway over at this point. Like, is this how I want things to keep going? And so I really think there's definitely something to it for sure. Like, it's not just, I mean, I think it happens to more people than you hear about, probably. I think it happens to everyone in some capacity. And I think some people just kind of like lose their noodles with it, like I did. Or some
Yeah.
people are more graceful. I don't feel like I was very graceful going through it.
I, fe- oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I feel like labeling it as it has been for so many years, a crisis, just that word alone, right? And it's panic and
Yeah.
negative and
And it's like you can look back on it. It's like it's not a crisis. You're waking up. You're waking
right.
up to like what you want in life. You're waking up to like, wait, I got to make some serious changes in my life. I've
Yeah.
been running on autopilot or like sleepwalking, and like I got to wake up. Like,
And I still have a lot of life to go, a lot of chapters. And
yeah,
these are mine now because, you've been through that much more than the last time you didn't wear the mommy hat or the wife hat or whatever other roles.
exactly.
And yeah, that's really very cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of like creating like a whole new identity. I think for moms, it's huge. Like, who are you if you're not a mom? That was kind of all I knew. Like, I was never super career driven. I just knew I wanted to be a mom. And then all of a sudden, they don't really need you that much anymore. And you're just like, wait, who am I?
right, I think that's a big part of it. It's self-discovery and figuring out what you like, what makes you happy, what lights you up. So at
Yeah.
what point did you feel like you were back on your feet and sort of ready and able to help other women?
I mean, I feel like in the last year and a half, really, I feel like I've had little dips. Like last summer was like another little dip where there was just a lot of stuff going on. So I worked through that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been doing this for about a year and a half now. I mean, obsessed with it for a lot longer, but really kind of actively doing it. And then in that period of time, like I kind of knew that this was the direction I was going to go into. And then during that period of time, I lost my job that I didn't really like. So I was kind of like, and I didn't even listen, I cried for a day just because it's scary and it's overwhelming. But I was kind of just like, oh, right. Everything does happen for a reason.
This
I'm
is
not
the
supposed
path,
to be doing that. That is not the
right?
path that I'm supposed to be on. This is the path I'm supposed to be on. And that just forced me to go all in on this path. So it was definitely a blessing in disguise.
It's so cool. And is that when you started going back for your accreditation and all the schooling?
Yeah.
Which I find just fascinating. I mean, I know we were talking about this before. I have a daughter who recently graduated with a degree in cog sci. So I do
Yeah.
love the science behind this. I don't necessarily love when she lectures me on the science behind
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
how
Oh, it's
not practicing
fascinating.
maybe these healthy neural pathway exercises. But is there anything you want to say more about that piece of it? Let's put it this way. Was it easy when first of all, it must have been fascinating to learn about it. But then was it easy to translate it to those of us who have kindergarten knowledge in that field or maybe even a slightly resistant attitude towards it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I realized that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because I was like, I felt like my brain could translate in a way that I'm realizing now that people are kind of resonating with. I just was like, how do I break this down into something that I can understand and then apply? And then, and I was just like, I love metaphors. I love explaining things like in that way. So it just sort of all kind of fell into place. And I don't know, it's just this overwhelming feeling of like, thank God I found what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I get up every morning and I've got all these ideas and I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like when you find a job that doesn't feel like work, you found your purpose.
That is such a good feeling. Like that's, I think, what part of our mission is here, that what we're doing with our partnership here in Finding Fabulous, but also like listening to all these women say how they pulled themselves up.
Yeah. And that was something like I always beat myself up like my whole adult life because I really just knew I wanted to be a mom. So I was really good at that. And I worked, but I didn't really care about it. So I do feel like it's like, yeah, sometimes you kind of have to break to really find out what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah. And why not wake up and be excited about it?
Yeah.
Do you
Totally.
find it all? Yeah, no, I mean, that's the most amazing feeling. And you have found you're fabulous in helping women. My question then is how many people roll their eyes? Oh, manifestation. Oh, the universe. Because I used to be more like that, sort of like,
Really?
oh, the universe, come on. Yes. Okay. But then the way we met, and once I opened my mind to versions of all of this, I do think that there are connections, there are signs, there are things that come your way if, back to the word energy, if you're open to it. So, how would you talk a little bit about that in terms
Yeah.
of women or just human beings in
Yeah.
general being sort of a little bit like, what is going on here?
Yeah. So I used to, I mean, that's how I kind of grew up just because of the way my dad raised me. But it was like signs and synchronicities. I was like, oh, that happened for a reason. It's like I didn't really understand the mechanism behind it. But now that I do, I'm like, oh, that's your reticular activating system. Like you can train that. So basically, it's like you're getting like 50 million bits of information per second, but you can only bring into your so many. So it's like, how do you train your reticular activating system to filter for what you want to see versus what you don't want to see? And so that's like when you're stuck in stress and survival mode and your nervous system is dysregulated. Basically, your prefrontal cortex, which is where you have ideas and intuition and problem solving, all of that goes down and your amygdala goes up. So it's like a seesaw. So it's like if your amygdala is fired up, you can't see solutions, you only see problems. And so then that trains your reticular activating system to see more problems. But if you can get your nervous system regulated, like walking, meditating, breathing, there's a million different things you can do, then your prefrontal cortex lights up and your amygdala quiets down. And this is the state that you can see possibility, you can see opportunity, you can solve problems, you hear
Wow.
your intuition better.
Wow.
And so that's kind of the
Is it-
science. And that's why nervous system regulation is such a huge part of it.
Boy, you just broke it down into like I feel like I could actually work on that
Yeah.
now that I understand the seesaw and a
But
couple
that's
of
kind of
quick
how I
tips.
try and explain it to people because I think for me, it helped me. Once I understood the science behind it, it's just like, it makes you more motivated to keep going because it's like you understand how the mechanism works. And so it's just like, oh, this is kind of just a formula. You just have to apply the
Yeah.
steps of the formula.
Formula.
And that
I
you
like
actually
that.
have a say in it.
Yeah,
If you
totally.
choose-
Yeah, this is why it's like so powerful because you literally put yourself back in the driver's seat of your life. You are now in charge of where you're going. So if you don't like where you're going, then program something different into your internal GPS. Like you have
Into
that
your
power.
Yes.
yes. Because ultimately, people say it all the time, and I would assume you would agree with it, but you probably found that you needed to make yourself happy. All these external things were not working for you.
Yeah.
And can you speak to that a little bit? What that means to create happiness from within? Nobody can
Yeah.
really
Nobody can do it
make
for
you
you. And I
happy.
feel like,
Yeah.
it's like I started doing that last summer. I was just like, I was dating kind of like not even really well or a bunch of losers. And I was just kind of like, what is happening?
Hopefully they're not listening. I'm kidding.
Damn it.
Love the
But-
real here. Yes.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, I am not attracting the person that I want right now. And so I was like, oh, got it. I'm not going to date until I become everything I want on my list. And so I just did like
Smart,
another
brilliant.
deep dive into myself. I was just like, this is not about like having somebody that comes and completes me or whatever. So it's like, it was all about changing my energy and becoming the person that I want to be, that I want to attract. It's like I kind of had to elevate myself if I want to attract like the right person. I mean, I wasn't dating a lot, but the people I was dating, I was just kind of like, this ain't it. And like, what is happening? And so I just kind of took it back to myself. It's like, okay, if this is what I'm attracting, I have work to do. If that
And
makes sense.
that self-awareness is,
Yeah.
it's hard to do sometimes.
Oh, it's super hard to do. Yeah. But that's another. So the formula that I use for manifesting is awareness, regulation, and repetition. So like awareness being half of the battle. Like if you're aware of your patterns or if you're aware of your behavior, then you have the power to change it. You don't have to change it, but at least you have the power to. And that choice gives you power.
Yes, I would agree. And sometimes it's a little daunting when you gain the awareness because you're sort of like, Oh gosh, like, I mean,
It
I
was
know that
easier when I ignored that part of myself.
yes,
Totally.
because
It's
when you sort
less.
of figure it out, you're like, "Wait, my kids are right. I am
Yeah.
a little defensive on this
Yeah.
topic." And even though
Yes.
I know that probably comes from my childhood and how my father behaved,
It all
it's
does.
I'm not. No, I'm not
Yeah.
defensive. It's like,
Yeah.
"Well, yes, you are." And finally I own it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I am, and I'm
Yeah.
working on it." But initially those behavior patterns are a little they're tough to swallow sometimes.
There are. And that's why so many people don't do this work because they don't, it's hard, and change is hard. But yeah, so I went to this place called the Hoffman Institute. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Yes, have heard of it.
I haven't.
Mhm.
Where is it?
Well, there's one in California, there's one in Connecticut, but it's basically you go and you do a deep dive onto all your patterns that you've learned in childhood.
Oh,
And
interesting. I believe, like you said, it all
Yep, and
comes
a lot
from
of it has to
there.
do with love patterns, right? And how
yes,
that
it
affects.
literally all comes
Mhm.
from childhood. Like everything that, everything that you do or how you behave comes from before the age of 7.
Oh, really? Before 7?
Yeah, because that's when your brain is in theta. So you're just absorbing everything and you're just kind of like trying to stay alive. And so you either do like your parents did or you do the opposite of what they did. But it's like
It's
teachers,
fascinating.
parents, like we're so programmed and it's so deep in there. It's like 90% of it is subconscious, but it's what's like operating your life. And so if you can become aware of that stuff, then you have the choice to change it. But the awareness is really half of it.
Was that so interesting, that experience?
Oh my
It
God.
sounds like it was.
It was it was wild. Like it was wild. The first half of it, everyone's kind of crying a lot and they break you. This sounds awful, but it's like they're getting down to the roots of everything. Like you really uncover. It's like 10 years of therapy in like a week. And then the second half of the week is just like magical and you come out of it. I literally came out of it and I was like, "Oh, this is what it means to be high on life." Like I hadn't touched my phone. You're just with these 27 other people and these amazing teachers and you just bond like it's just the most magical experience and you come out of it like literally they say they're like on a cellular level you are a different person and you come out of it and
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
wild. You have to like acclimate for a while when you come out of it because
Well,
it's
just the fact that you've put your phone down, number one,
I mean
right?
that was it.
I
And I went
mean,
into it being like I don't know what this place is all about or what I'm going to get to, but if nothing else I can be without my phone for a
that's it
week.
at the bare minimum. I had a very good friend
Be
do it
present.
too, and she
Yeah.
sent, or I shouldn't say she sent, but both of her young sons in their 20s agreed to go as well.
Oh, I told my kids, I was like, as soon as you're old enough, I think it's 20, I was like, I'm
Mhm.
sending you. If you can start your life with this awareness, I like the sky's the limit.
Like, what a
I feel like
gift.
we should go.
What a
You should.
gift. We
Yeah.
should go.
Really and
All right.
truly. I feel
You
like
should
it
go,
could
but you
help.
shouldn't go together because
Right.
there's something about kind of like having like,
Anonymity
yeah,
and being
exactly.
open and with your raw emotions and right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say like if you're
That makes
married,
sense.
don't go with your partner. But yeah, I could not recommend it more to everyone.
I feel like it's just never too late to get this fresh start, especially when it's really going back to the very beginning of your life. I find that fascinating
Yeah.
to circle
It's so
back
fascinating.
to
No,
the
I
essence of,
actually find that totally fascinating. So
yeah.
what would you say or what do you say to women who say it's too late for me? I think some people have the attitude
Yeah.
of, "Oh, I'm 55, like I can't do that," or
I get
"I'm
messages
60."
like that all the time. They're like, I want to do your program, but I think it's too late for me. Like I'm 55 or I'm 60. And I'm just like, girl, like it is
You
never
could
too
be,
late.
yeah.
My dad's 83. He's all in on this stuff, like all in. Like it is never too late.
Never too late.
And it doesn't, it's like change is slow, but also like you can do the work, do the work, do the work. And then it's like things start to happen overnight. Like that's kind of what happened with me and like my Instagram page. I was doing this for like 9 months before anybody noticed, but I was like, I love this so much. I could do this. It was sort of like therapeutic for me to do it. I was just like, I love this. I feel like I have stuff that needs to come out of my head. So it was almost like my own little diary in a way. And then all of a sudden it started taking off and it blew up super fast. But I was just kind of like, that's what happens when you've put in the work and you're in alignment. Then it's like things resonate.
Was there one sort of turning point when it blew up? Was there one post or you just think it was over time, it just resonated?
I don't know. I mean, over like really, it started blowing up this past Thanksgiving. Like it been
Oh gosh, that's
big.
recent.
Yeah, it got big really fast. But the funny thing, there's a kind of a funny story. Like I remember I went back and looked at it because I wanted to see, because I remember it and I did a little story on it on my Instagram. But I had sent a text to my girl group chat, all my friends. It was 2 weeks before anything grew up. And I literally had like 300 followers for like 9 months. Like I was like, nothing was happening. But I was like, I love this. It's fine. Like I kept saying like, is what I'm saying true? Yes. Is what I'm saying helpful to other people? Yes. So keep going. Anyway, so I looked at this text that I had sent to my friends, and it was like a Saturday night, and I was just like sitting on the couch by myself, and I was like, guys, I'm just over here making my own sunshine, having the time of my life, creating a bunch of content that nobody's going to see, but I don't even care because I love it so much, and I just wanted to put this out there. And they all kind of responded, and they were like laughing at me. And then literally like 2 weeks later, it blew up, and I was like, oh wait, oh yeah, this is how it happens. This is how it happened.
You made your sunshine.
You made your sunshine. You manifested
found your
that.
fabulous.
When you get in alignment, I mean, that I was like, this is it. Like when you're in alignment and you aren't attached to the outcome, that's when it happens. And so it was like,
That's
it was
what
just
people do say. They do say, because I always want, like I said, everything yesterday, but it's about the journey. It's not
about the journey
necessarily
and
about
really
the destination.
not attaching to the outcome. And I know that's so hard because it's like we're all so like wanting control of something, but it's like the outcome might be different and a lot better than what you can even imagine. So it's kind of like, what feeling do you want? And focus on that and just let the universe kind of unfold and figure out the how.
That's actually amazing
I love
advice.
that.
When do you think you were able to let that go? At what point in your journey? Like truly let it go.
I think because it felt very therapeutic for me to be doing it, like it was like all this stuff was in me and I just kind of had to get it out. And so I don't know that I think I just always had this like inner knowing, like if I don't quit, it'll work out. And I don't think I was ever like too attached on like timing of when it would work out or what capacity or what it would look like necessarily. But I just kept saying like, if I don't quit, it'll work. And I just kind of kept reminding myself, like, if this helps one person, great.
I always say that too. Just one.
Kristin says that all the time because
Mhm.
she has been through a real trauma. I think we were talking to you about it, that she lost her leg to sepsis. And I do think that
Oh, sorry.
you say that all the time. If you can help one person
Yeah,
with
just-
whatever your struggle was.
That's right. And
Yeah.
boy, Tina, when you were talking about going through several things at once, be it career shift, a divorce, your kids' demands, and what you're going through inside your own body and mind. I mean, that's how I felt when I had limb loss. I mean, I experienced all that medical trauma as I had just filed for divorce. And there was a piece of me, I know you're going to tell me this is not scientifically based, so I'm going to admit it now. But at the time, I think it was a coping mechanism to say, well, thank goodness I'm not going through just the divorce or just the medical, because I have a feeling individually they would completely overwhelm me. But because it's all piled on at once, there's only one me. So I have to kind of like split up my attention to all these things. So they're almost getting like 40% of the heartache and feelings that they normally would have gotten. If that makes any sense, it probably doesn't, but it's how I coped with it at the time.
It's how you cope. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you do what you have to cope in the moment for sure. But yeah, that's wild. That's a lot. I'm sorry that you had to go through all that at one time.
Like to your point, it's taken time after that to unravel it because it was a lot at once. There was no way to really isolate each of those things and go through the right grieving just, in the next year, 2, 3. I mean, it happened over the course of the next decade, I would say. And so.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a trauma. I mean, that's real trauma, And I think there's big T trauma, which like wars and stuff. And then there's little T trauma, but like they all affect your nervous system in the same way. So it's like figuring out how to kind of come out of it and really get your nervous system back to being regulated.
And I do feel like, again, we're all doing it with the businesses that we're in now and the missions we're on, but like building community. Like the other thing I'd say about what I went through, it's everything. I mean, I said, I could never do it without the team of people that surrounded me at the time and continue to do so, even if it was somebody experiencing the same thing or a professional helping or friends, family, whatever it was. But also the fact that just on the flip side, then using that to then help even just one person. Didn't even have to be a community of 10 or 100, just one person. So
totally. Yeah. I mean, my group of friends is like, I literally don't know what I would have done without them.
Yeah.
Like they are everything. It's just, you have to have a community.
You have to. And there's something super special about female friendships. The females that lift you up and that light you up and bring you joy.
Well, I think they even say it does something to your hormones, that it actually is, there is a chemistry to that.
Yeah. And it, it helps to regulate your nervous system. You can kind of co-regulate with everybody.
Well, and we say a lot because she's extenuating circumstances and then I'm more every day. But it was interesting that you just said, because you say this a lot, Kristin, the feelings and the emotions are the same.
Are what count. Yeah.
Because ultimately her feeling sad about her kids or her feeling lost when her kids went to college, I was feeling the same thing. And then her trauma was her trauma. And then I don't have the extenuating circumstances, but I've had surgeries and but it's all the emotions.
Or it doesn't
and
even have to be
feelings.
even pointed to something external as much as just whatever's upsetting you, whatever's causing, like you're
Right.
saying, that
That's better said.
deregulation, like it is real. It's what you're experiencing.
In the moment.
It's what you're experiencing. Yeah. And it's all valid.
It's all valid.
Well, yeah, it's all valid. No, I think it's fascinating. I think the whole mind, body, and I do feel like we are manifesting, trying to manifest, finding fabulous into just really helping women find their fabulous in a way that they can just find their purpose.
The essence of who they are. And like you were saying, Megan asked you, is it too late for me? You're 50. I just turned 60. No, it's not too late. I mean,
It's never too late.
never too late.
No.
And it's exciting. We're excited about this new chapter and this new path that we're on. And I feel like if we weren't doing this, then I'd be more in my stuck.
Yeah.
What do I do? And I love the seesaw because I think if people think about your, what's it called? Your regulation, the seesaw is
it's a very simple way of taking that complex brain and just the visual is so easy to understand for anyone.
Yeah. Because you can't be in two states at once. So your either cortex is up and you're in like parasympathetic, or your amygdala is up and you're kind of in fight or flight. And so it's like the more you can kind of live in calm and with your prefrontal cortex turned on, the more the world just is going to like open up for you. So it's like, that's, I think we grew up hearing like meditating is like all the spiritual, like woo woo fluff stuff, but it's like, it is the basis of really being able to live the life that you really want.
Instead of constantly running from the bear.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
the fight or flight.
Yes.
Wow, this has been amazing.
This has been amazing. Yes. And I feel
thank
like you're in such an amazing place in your life and you're helping other women, which is pretty awesome.
So, yeah. I mean, men too. Like there's, it's like, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, let's not include the men,
men.
not ignore the boys or the men.
Fair
They're
enough.
welcome too. I mean, it's just like, all humans.
Yeah.
I work with all humans. But yeah, it's nice to kind of have something that feels really fulfilling finally. It's like my kids were fulfilling and then they're kind of out and I'm just like, I was so worried what life was going to look like. And then it's like, oh, right. Everything always actually does work out as it's supposed to. And this just kind of like fell into place at the right time. So.
No, and I feel the same way. I feel like I'm finally at a place where I'm like, okay, they're out, they're doing their thing, they're leading their exciting new lives. And then we have our exciting new venture.
We have a life.
Sort of doing full
We have a
circle.
life. And by the way, I find that the kids want us to have lives. They don't want to worry about us. They don't want us.
And I want to set
super
that
proud and happy and all
for
the
my
things.
kids. I want them to see that mom's not, it's like so that when they grow up, they have their own, I think for a while, I really was just kind of mom and I didn't really have much of an identity outside of that. So
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's where we are attaching our identity.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I feel super grateful to be here. It's been a journey.
Thank you, Tina. This has been amazing.
Grateful to have you. This has been amazing. So I think there's one last question.
You want to ask it?
It's on you. Oh, you want me to ask it?
Sure.
Okay. We end with one last question. Kristin, it's all you.
Okay, Tina, we're so curious. For the woman who hasn't started finding her fabulous yet, what would you tell her?
I think the most important thing you could do is to get really still and stop chasing and just really go inward, meditate, get still, just start getting to a point where you can quiet the noise enough so you can start hearing your intuition and then act on what excites you the most. Like there's going to be something that comes up that feels exciting and it might be totally random, but it's like act on that until you can't take it any further. And then sort of the next thing, follow what lights you up, follow what makes you really feel excited. Like, what are you scrolling for all day? What are you looking for all the time? Follow that because there's clues in all of that information.
Lights you up. Amazing.
Lights you up. That's what it's all about. We know that there are literally a million podcasts out there, and so many of them are so, so good. We'd love for you to tell your friends, family, and all the women in your life to join us in finding fabulous and lighting it up.
Yes, share your stories with us by DMing and following us on Instagram, TikTok, and all your social media at Finding Fabulous Pod. And please subscribe, like, and share wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.